Hi, this is Lily Cotilla and welcome to San Diego Therapy. I'm currently in Buenos Aires and various situations have transpired that just reiterate and reinforce the fact that I believe is a primary culprit for miscommunication. It's just that it's obvious when you're using two different languages in comparison to if both people or the group is speaking English, because you often don't realize that you're not on the same page because you're exchanging the same words, and you just assume that the other person knows what you are talking about and is in agreement, and or not, but you're on the same page. And I've referenced this before, that the understanding and awareness that in fact you're not in line with what you're talking and listening to sometimes does not come out until weeks later. The reason why this has become so obvious in Argentina for me is because of the way people think internally and this schematic imagery. If I don't know how to directly say something, I will use a metaphor or an artistic parallel to get my point across and then weave it back into the content that I'm trying to convey or ask the question about, such that in the mind, the parallel can be made for the person and we can come up with a shared word and I can be taught what the proper word is. For example, today I needed a broom and a dustpan. I did not know what the words for those were, and I actually forget what they are in the moment. But I went downstairs and I saw a fork. And the guy kind of understood what I was looking for. He was trying to get me a mop. I had no desire to mop this place. That's the maid's job here. But I wanted to sweep the floor. And so I asked him for a tenedor, which is a fork, and a plato, which is a plate, but por la pisa, which is the floor. And I took the fork and pretended to do a sweeping motion on the floor. And he understood, because the imagery connection that he made along with the word pisa, meaning floor, and the shape of the fork and the shape of the broom being similar, he was able to understand. I assume he has a high oxytocin level or a certain way of thinking in which he can understand that conceptual attempt of communicating when you don't know the words. Now, many people, whether they want to play an arrogant role, whether they don't want to take the time to communicate, they're simply busy, they have to do too much brain power work to understand you, a stranger whom they could care less about. I don't want to make assumptions as to whether or not or why they don't get what you're trying to say, but I do believe that there is something neurologically where some people cannot understand this type of reference or parallel or metaphor talk. It has to be black and white and as simple as it gets in sentence structure. And if you say anything awry, it's not like entering. Either that or it's just not caring or arrogance. I don't know. I'm going to start repeating myself here because I'm not inside other people's bodies and minds. All I know is that I've fully realized that when someone does not get what you're saying, it has nothing to do with a language barrier unless you completely cannot speak anything. And it makes it even harder in your own language because it's like flying under the radar with your words, thinking that you're being overt when actually you're just self-entertaining and the other person doesn't have a clue what you're talking about, nor for some reason does he or she tell you that she doesn't have a clue. And perhaps that is because she doesn't realize. So this is something to think about and ways that you can prevent these misconnects from happening. Whether it be a pen and paper and you actually draw something out, or you ask the person to repeat what you said, not necessarily using verbatim the same words, but in their own spin of it to make sure that you're togetherly joined. Whatever it may be, I encourage you to come up with a strategy to make sure that you are on the same page, so that a month from now, it doesn't go into this big, unnecessary blowout. And one more thing regarding communication. If you're talking about something serious, make sure that you ground the person and yourself, and you're not doing 2, 3, 4 different things at one time, because chances are they're not going to hear. And also create your own form of highlighting this. Do something funny. I don't know what you want to do, but much of words blend together at all the same level in the background. And for the speaker, there are often things that have higher importance than others. And the listener needs to be made aware of that via some kind of cue. Keep these things in mind and you will have a better relationship. Or don't, and whatever. Best of luck. I think you'll need it.